So the reality of being a new personal trainer my first 6 months after leaving the military. And no, I did not make a 10k month in the first 30 days of leaving, nor did I hit six figures after 12 months. So I'm going to share with you, I've just got on screen some of the things that happened to me my first kind of like 6 months or so, and then I'll talk a little bit about beyond that so you know how it kind of develops as I went forward. So I left the military in the August, and when I left, prior to leaving the military, I was already teaching part-time as a Pilates instructor. So I had a couple of venues where I was teaching Pilates. I think it was about maybe 8 or 10 people per class. I think I was running about 3 or 4 classes per week. So that was bringing in some income, which was great. And that gave me some immediate confidence that, there was potential for being a health and fitness professional out there. I hadn't quite decided that I was going to specialize yet in fat loss, which is what I eventually specialized in. So I was doing Pilates. I also did some work at a local health and fitness club. It's called Parkwood. It was a brand new opening. It became our flagship, and probably still is, the flagship gym in Salisbury. Really nice facility, nice coffee area, nice pool, sauna, nice facility. And I worked there as a freelance personal trainer. I didn't have to pay rent, which was great, because I know a lot of trainers have to pay rent, nor did I have to go in there and sort of do the other sort of ancillary jobs like cleaning equipment. I was purely there as a personal trainer. The clients that were members, or the people that were members, paid Parkwood the fee for personal training, typically blocks of 10 they were sold at. I would then invoice Parkwood at the end of the month for the number of personal training sessions that I had done, and it worked pretty well. They would normally pay within sort of 7 days of my invoice. That was good. And I also did some home visits, going to people's houses with a little bit of equipment, doing some home visit personal training. So the first 4 months or so August, September, October, November, December, 5 months of me as a personal trainer, I was able to generate, wait for it, the grand total of £8,000. So doesn't sound like a lot of money, and it wasn't a huge amount of money, to be honest, but it gave me the confidence to believe in my skills, that hey, people actually can relate to me, connect with me. I can connect with people actually book in and pay me. And when you've never been self-employed, which I hadn't, I'd been in the military 22 years, never been self-employed before, suddenly to go out there and think, right, this is down to me, I've got to make money to pay for my mortgage, pay for my car, pay for my holidays and everything else. That's quite a big deal, which is why I sometimes recommend to trainers, or quite often, start off part-time, get some income before you think about going full-time. So that's how it kind of played out for me for the first few months. 2007 came around. In 2007, I was doing a lot of different things. When I left the military, I was qualified in a number of different areas. So I got my qualifications sorted out, and I could do massage. I was a professional football coach, professional tennis coach. I did boot camps. I was doing the Pilates. I was doing general fitness. I was doing a whole variety of things. But I felt as though I was kind of spinning my wheels quite a bit and not making the progress. I was making okay money, but I thought I could be making a bit more. But more importantly, I felt as though I was being pulled in lots of different directions as a personal trainer. So I had a phone call with a couple of guys out in the States. I think it was either 2007, 2008. It might have been 2008 when I was going through a bit of a rocky time, and I almost gave up. I never really wanted to give up, but things got quite sticky for me at that period of time. Had this phone call with a couple of coaches in the States, and they said, look, Eric, we can see that you're qualified in lots of different things, and you appear to be reasonably good at things, because I used to do a lot of testimonials, whether it was for Pilates, boot camps, tennis, whatever. So they could see I had evidence of being a successful personal trainer, but maybe I was being pulled in too many different directions, so I wasn't really getting the traction that they felt I could be getting. So we had the phone call. I didn't listen for at least another 8 or 9 months before I took their advice. And when I eventually took it, it's often a case, isn't it? You look back and you can see it with hindsight how you could have taken certain steps far sooner. And for me, in my case, had I have gone down the specialist route of being a fat loss specialist a bit sooner, I believe I could have got to where I got to eventually far quicker. Having said that, I may not have learnt the lessons that I learnt either. So who knows what would really happen if you, or had I have specialised straight away. But I did. And that meant basically dropping lots of things I was doing, including my Pilates classes. And that was a big sort of thing to drop because I'd had clients there for a good number of years and that was bringing in some decent income. But once I did that and I went all in on fat loss, that's really when things started to take off for me. So from around about 2009 all the way through for about a 10-year period roughly, I was able to generate around about 50k per year on average. Some years it was a little bit more than that, some years it was a little bit less than that, but on average over my 10-year period, looking at my books, it averaged out at about 50k per year. It also allowed me to take on staff and open up facilities. And we actually, some months went above 10k months, but that wasn't all down to me. I say at that particular point, I had a staff member and another part-time staff member. So those 10k months weren't down to me. They were down to me plus having staff as well. And sometimes I don't think that's spoken about enough in terms of how people go about generating 10k. So that was kind of like the first 6 months in my business. You know, it was a bit of a learning curve in terms of what I had to deliver, how I marketed myself. But I stuck with it. So it gave me the confidence to go on and have, I think, in my opinion, a relatively successful personal training career to the point now whereby I work online exclusively. I no longer do face-to-face. I do a little bit of part-time online coaching just because I enjoy it still. I haven't got a huge client base, to be honest, I haven't, because my focus is really now on helping personal trainers like yourself that want to understand how to set up as fat loss coaches so you can start to earn anywhere between 1,000 and 3,000 plus per month consistently. And I think it's an area that people often don't talk about. I think some gurus out there don't speak about the setup in terms of getting the things in place and some of the skills you need to learn to genuinely hit some of these higher figures they talk about. You know, the 10k months, the 6 figures, the scaling your business. Before you can get anywhere close to that, in my opinion, you need to have a good setup. And that setup's not just about being able to put together creative Facebook ads. It's about having an ideal target audience you want to work with, ideal people, your ideal client you want to work with, having a good offer. You know, make sure that offer actually is well thought through. So when people are asking about it, you can articulate it and you can show them what they're getting. Understanding a little bit about the psychology of how clients work, that takes time. You have to learn that. Understanding about sales and marketing, you know, these are all skills which, unless you come from that sort of background, there is a little bit of a learning curve. There certainly was for me before I was able to get to the level that I got to as a personal trainer. And I say, my level wasn't sort of like a 6-figure scaling trainer. You know, I hit some good numbers. And I say for me, 50k per month working full-time was great. And then I eventually dialed that back to part-time and I am where I am right now. So if you're interested, by the way, in learning how to put together your own high-ticket fat loss program, there's a link below this video. It'll take you to a page, click on that, and I've put together some training that will teach you how to create, market, and successfully sell your own high-ticket fat loss program. And that's there available at the time of this recording. Hopefully it's still there now, but on screen right now, either that side or this side, the next video talks about how to create an offer, which is kind of a scaled down version of the full training, how to create an offer that you can offer to multiple different types of people without changing the core elements.